Welcome. Today we have a wonderful speaker, Dr. Ruchi Gutpa, and she's going to be talking about food allergies and food conditions and what we can all do about them. She's the professor of pediatrics and medicine at Northwestern Feinberg School of Medicine. She's also the director of the Center for Food Allergy and Asthma Research, CFAR, and co-author of more than 140 publications, as well as author of several books, including a brand new one, Food Without Fear, which is the title of her talk. And we have a great collaboration at Northwestern Dining. Dr. Gupta has provided us with all kinds of tools and resources to help our college students. And I am just going to turn it over to Dr. Gupta to share more about what she knows and her expertise. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. We are so excited to partner with Northwestern on a number of initiatives we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to get started. I am a pediatrician and a researcher. I've been at Northwestern for 17 years, and I'm also the mom of a child with food allergies. So I live this. This is my 24/7 job. So a little bit about the Center for Food Allergy and Asthma Research. Our mission is to find answers and shape policies surrounding food allergy, asthma, and other allergic conditions through our epidemiological, clinical, and community-facing research. Oops, here we go. Three main areas we work in: public health data research, clinical research, and community and school outreach. We collect data to help our communities understand the public health impact of food allergies, asthma, and other food-related conditions. So just as an example, in this first area, you can see it includes understanding the prevalence and trends in the development, management, and impact of adults and children with food allergy in the US. So the numbers that you see out there about prevalence, 32 million, 1 in 10 adults have food allergy, 1 in 13 kids. That all comes out of our lab. We also talk about the top foods kids and adults are allergic to, the severity, healthcare utilization. A lot of that public health data comes from CFAR. And just an example of where this then turns into policy, which is the second bullet here, is recently, we found that sesame is the 9th most common allergen. And what's exciting about this is we wrote a paper on it and published the data that was needed for policymakers to then pass the FASTER Act, which is now going to require industry to label sesame on precautionary allergy or on food labels. So the top 8 foods are always on the food label, and now sesame is going to be number 9 because sesame is in a lot of hidden ingredients, and that data to help make that happen came out of our lab and the data that we collect. The second one here you can see, determining the socioeconomic barriers to food allergy management to inform new policy. This is really important. It's something that came out of this last year with COVID-19 and seeing that there was so much more food insecurity, and then really wondering, well, what do people who are food insecure and have a food condition do? How do they secure safe, healthy food? So we worked with organizations around the country to really better understand, what is going on and what we can do to support this, and policy changes that we can make, for example, within WIC. So this is another big area of our research. And then finally, discovering geographic and racial variability of asthma in Chicago. This is an example of a map of Chicago where we really tried to understand asthma rates by neighborhood and the impact of different local environmental pieces to increase or decrease asthma rates in different neighborhoods, and then develop interventions really targeted at specific neighborhoods. So not a one size fits all. Okay, again, here we're going to talk about a little bit of our clinical research. So very excited about some of our prevention work. Northwestern and Lurie Children's, we are working on preventing food allergies. And we are definitely the leaders in the US on this because no trials have come out of the US. Most of them have been through London, but we are doing a study called enrich where, recent guidelines changed. where we used to say, do not feed your baby peanut products till they're 3 years old. And we said that because we saw this epidemic, we saw this rise in peanut allergy. And then year 2000, the American Academy of Pediatrics actually recommended to wait to introduce peanut products because we didn't know what was going on with this incredible increase we were seeing. Then in 2015, a paper was published in London showing that actually introducing peanut products early to your babies, so in the first year of life, could prevent peanut allergy from developing. Now, this was a landmark study, and because of it, the guidelines in the US changed to now say, introduce peanuts early. Problem with research is how do you translate it down to the people who need it? So we are working on this study, iReach, with the NIH, hand in hand, it's a UO1, to really focus in on the pediatrician and to support pediatricians to recommend peanut introduction and give appropriate information to their patients. And then we follow the patients to see if they did or did not follow these recommendations. And then we follow these infants out to age 2 to see if we actually did make a dent. Did we decrease the prevalence of peanut allergy in these infants? SEED is another exciting study. In SEED, where the first question we get asked is, okay, what about the other foods? So we're going to do early introduction of peanut, but should I be doing tree nuts? Should I be doing milk and egg, wheat and soy, sesame? Like what foods do I need to introduce early? So in SEED, we're actually going to introduce 8 foods to infants early in that first year of life and see if we can also prevent other food allergies. Now, why this is so important is we have an opportunity then to turn the tide, to potentially turn this whole epidemic around and decrease, the incidence of peanut allergy in these babies and decrease the overall food allergy prevalence. So very, very exciting stuff. Northwestern, again, leaders in this space. iTrack, I'm going to just mention briefly asthma management through technology. And this is where we are working very closely with Northwestern's technology leaders to develop new ways of improving not only compliance to medications, but also the medical home. So making sure that data gets to your doctor and your doctor can follow up on if you're using your medication too much or too little, or you need to change it in any way. Forward is another one. It's a NIH grant where we are understanding racial and ethnic disparities in food allergy development, management, quality of life, growing out of food allergies. And this again is to really put it as not one size fits all. We need to understand differences in individuals and by race, ethnicity, SES. Okay, going to move in a little bit of those numbers I just mentioned, the food allergy epidemic. 1 in 10 adults we found in a study that was published in 2020 have a food allergy, and 1 in 13 children. So very common. I'm going to really show you the adult data because we are focusing in on college students. So for adults, what was so interesting, and then, this will take us back to the book, Food Without Fear, was that 1 in 5 adults, so 20%, said they had a food allergy. Now, when we clean that data, about 1 in 10 really did have a convincing food allergy, but even more have other food conditions, but they don't really understand what it is because only 1 in 20 were getting a diagnosis by a physician. So what normally happens in daily life? You eat a food, you have a negative reaction. You think, okay, I have something. We can call it a food allergy, a food condition, but that did not feel good. And I either had GI pain or trouble breathing or whatever your symptoms were. You take that food out of your diet. And then a lot of people don't actually go to a doctor because they think the doctor is going to tell them to take the food out of their diet. And they don't understand that there's other management that may need to happen depending on what food condition they have. And that was the impetus of Food Without Fear, which I'll get into a little bit later. The only other thing I wanted to talk about on this is the foods that adults are allergic to. Shellfish definitely being the top at almost 3%, then milk, peanut, tree nuts, finfish, wheat, egg, soy, and sesame. Emergency department visits, about 1 in 10 adults were saying they went to the emergency room in the past year, and about 38% in their lifetime. Also, really interesting is that 50% of the adults told us that they developed a new food allergy as an adult. So after the age of 18. And a lot of times these are to foods that they could tolerate just fine, and then they eat it and have a very negative reaction to it. So it is not just a childhood thing. It is something we're seeing developing in adults more frequently. Okay, getting into college students. All right, so a little bit of research, not enough in this space, but what we do know is that food is ubiquitous and impacts adolescents and young adults' daily lives in so many ways. So obviously everything they do, there's a food component. So every social event, eating out with friends, dating, and adolescents and young adults with food allergy are more likely to engage in risk-taking behaviors. So they don't always carry their epinephrine autoinjectors. You know, sometimes they don't want to speak up in restaurants and social settings to avoid talking about their allergy. It's embarrassing, and it's not necessarily, you know, the first thing they want people to know about them. And they're less likely to check food labels every time before trying a food. Oftentimes at get-togethers and parties, there aren't even food labels on the food. So individuals with food allergy experience the highest levels of anxiety after initial diagnosis and also following severe reactions. So risk-taking behaviors. Now, this was predominantly in high school students, but it was interesting that adolescents did tell us 13% did admit to not always carrying their epinephrine autoinjector. We do know it's probably a lot higher than this. 20% reported eating packaged foods with may contain labels, and 36% with manufactured and facility labels. Now, this is really interesting because what we learned is social support is so important to these students. And this is why building awareness and social support for these students in college is just critical. When we asked these students, you know, do your friends support you? Male friends, you know, about 65% were supportive, about 39% would know what to do if they had a reaction. Female friends, a little bit more, 82% supportive and 55% knew what to do. But in general, classmates, less than half were supportive and 11% only knew what to do if an allergic reaction occurred. Okay, so food allergies in college. So nearly 10% of college students were clinically diagnosed with at least one food allergy. And fatal food-induced anaphylaxis is most common among adolescents and young adult population. And that's because they're taking more risks. They're in a new environment for the first time. Even in high school, they may go out, but they're coming to their safe home and eating their safe foods. Now they're living with a roommate. They're in college. They're on their own. They're making their own decisions. You know, there is a level of invincibility in college students where they do feel that they can do anything. And then, of course, they don't want to be embarrassed by talking about their food allergy everywhere they go. So there's much more risk taking. Nearly 40% of students did not consistently carry emergency medication, and food allergy affects nearly all aspects of the student's life. Now, this is a small study. Some of our summer interns from Northwestern were very interested in better understanding what was going on in universities for students with food allergy. So this is only 43 respondents, but they are from 42 universities that are represented here. And as you can see here, is the university aware of your food allergy? 40% said no, and 23% said unsure. So a lot of these students are coming to the university and not having the conversations about their food allergy. Here, have you had an allergic reaction since starting college? And 28% said yes. So over 1 in 4 are having an allergic reaction in college. And then again, reasons why: food mislabeled, given wrong food, ate food by mistake, buffet style, cross contact. How can universities improve life with food allergy and decrease food allergic reactions? Increase allergy awareness training for all students. And this is what we're trying to do, which I'm very excited about. Regular allergy training for dining staff and availability of stock epinephrine on campus. which areas of your college life are impacted? Pretty much everything, right? Their social life, the most important part of their lives, on-campus dining experience, clubs, organizations, housing, dorm experience. And again, it is a part of everything these students do. Okay, let's get into resources. So now I'm going to show you the short video that we've developed for food allergies. And this one is specific for Northwestern.
When coming to college, managing my food allergies was a bit harder than in high school because you're in a brand new place, and just creating that social life is very different than in high school.
When I go to a social situation or like I'm at a party, sometimes I do just avoid the food because I don't want to have to ask or find the host to ask, where this food's from, can I see the box, can I read the ingredients?
I would say I'm definitely one of those people who eats to live, doesn't live to eat.
We can't be spontaneous when we eat. So, if your friends say, oh, you guys just want to go here, for fast food, like, I need to prepare a little bit, I need to look into it.
I'm like the one that's like, okay, well, I'm not gonna be able to come, or, I'll just eat a salad beforehand.
There are lots of other opportunities for people to get foods at whatever hour of the night that they're hungry. I, unfortunately, do not have that opportunity unless the dining hall is open, so I have to be extra careful about always making sure I have enough food to eat whenever I might need.
Many times there is a huge divide between what is very easily accessible for people with food allergies versus someone like me who doesn't have food allergies.
I realize I'm not being needy when I ask to accommodate my dietary restrictions because I can't control it.
In more cases than not, eating is not a pleasurable experience for a lot of people that have a lot of food allergies. So it really has a big impact on your everyday life because you're always thinking about it. Like, everyone eats 3 times a day.
Whenever I'm going to eat, I wipe down everything that I'm going to eat on and then unpack things and make sure it's an incredibly clean area and never snack irresponsibly because I just gotta make sure I don't get sick.
Talking to roommates, trying to navigate the dining halls, going to parties for the first time, all these things are so stressful in general for college students, but add the fact that food is so woven into every single thing that students do on campus.
This is my medicine pack for allergic reactions. It has epinephrine, it has an inhaler, it has Zyrtec, Benadryl, and other medications that I should take in case of a reaction.
I have my epinephrine, I have my Benadryl. If I know that I'm going to go somewhere and eat, especially, those are crucial. I have a purse with me at all times. My friends all have my family's phone numbers.
This is my life, so make sure I carry it everywhere I go.
If you're someone without food allergies, make sure that you're considering the people who do have them, and you're being respectful of them, and you're helping them when they need it.
I wish my peers knew more about how to identify an allergic reaction. So if I were to be having hives or trouble breathing, they'd be able to identify that as an allergic reaction and get help. Because if there are times where I am going through anaphylaxis and can't speak or can't get my message across, I need people around me to be able to recognize that I'm in a life-threatening situation and I need help from professionals.
Northwestern Dining's been really great because there's no nuts allowed in the dining halls, which it gives me so much more peace.
Northwestern's been incredibly accommodating, and they have an entirely separate Pure Eats section, which is completely allergen avoiding.
Pure Eats section is free of the top 9 allergens. They do a really good job of avoiding cross-contact and things like that.
All of the people who work the Pure Eats stations go through our food allergen training twice a year.
We do have a whole team of people here that are dedicated to make your stay so comfortable. So please reach out to us as soon as possible.
If you see a purple handle, you know that it's been washed and sanitized in the right method.
What's so great about Northwestern is that we also have the Center for Food Allergy and Asthma Research. We call it CFAR, and we collaborate with Pure Eats, the dietitians, and the faculty at Northwestern to do the research and then help provide the resources to help college students better navigate their experience.
As the campus dietitian, I am really passionate about helping students navigate food on campus.
We definitely want to create an environment that does feel like a safe space.
Being vocal about your needs is the most important thing to us. If you tell us, don't be shy. We're never going to turn you away. We're never going to tell you that what you need is something we can't do. We want to make sure that everybody who comes in leaves feeling well-fed, nourished, and happy.
Along with this video, which Northwestern is going to launch during Wildcat Wellness just coming up this year. So we're very, very excited that Northwestern is going to be a leader in sharing the video and building awareness among Northwestern students. This is a toolkit that they're also going to share, and it involves a lot of things that are very important for new students. How do you talk with your roommate? And how important this is, along with eating out and social events. How to use epinephrine. And then for Northwestern, important contacts. So important for students to be empowered, to know the right people to connect with when they come to campus, and what they need to do to keep themselves safe and get the food and what they need on campus to support them. Okay, here, supporting food allergy friends. So again, for their friends, helping educate and build awareness throughout the campus, not just for people with food allergies, but for everyone on campus. And then my food condition cheat sheet. Okay, I wanted to keep this short. We have so much information, so I encourage everyone who is interested to please contact Lisa, contact me, come to our websites, which I'll share with you at the end, and learn more about everything we're doing. We have a ton of resources. We'd love to share them with you, your families, your children, and then for the book. So I'm going to talk about this briefly. It is very exciting. We spent 5 years putting this together, and mainly to help individuals understand what may be happening when they eat a food and have a negative reaction, right? What could it be? Is it an actual food allergy, which is immune mediated and can be very serious? Or is it a food intolerance, which often means you're lacking an enzyme to convert one of the proteins of the food? And so you get a lot of GI, stomach upset, diarrhea, also very, very debilitating, but works in a different way and often is not life-threatening. Or another masquerader like celiac disease. So it is very important to understand what you have, because it's important to know how to manage it. And some of these conditions actually have treatments, including food allergies. There are new treatments coming down the pike. And so very important to know exactly what you have, how to diagnose it, and how to manage it. So the book is to empower individuals to do that. There's a lot of questions that come up. I get asked about, why is this happening? What are we seeing in the environment? Why is this epidemic happening? And we have a whole couple of chapters just on that. Is it the environment? Is it our microbiome? Is it our hygiene? Is it how, the pesticides and how we're growing food these days? So all of those are potential hypotheses that we're all looking at, but in the book, we go into it quite a bit more. Okay, I wanted to put a plug in. We also at CFAR have conferences, and these are for adults, kids, families. So encourage you all to please join our listserv, be a part of our team. The next one we're going to have is October 2nd. It's actually going to be virtual. It's called Faces in a Flash. There will be topics for adults. There will be a separate teens group, and there will be a separate kids group. So encourage you to participate in that. Hopefully, if all goes well in the spring, we are hoping to have this in person. And then finally, end with this quote: do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. That's what we're doing here with campus dining, with Lisa, with the whole Northwestern and Lurie Children's team. We're trying to learn more, trying to support students better, and then we're putting it into practice. Okay, I'm not going to have time to take questions, but if you do have questions, this is, hold on, I have one more. Hold on. Sorry, I was going to give you our, there we go. Here, this is how you connect with us. So our site is cfar.northwestern.edu. I encourage you to go there because we have a lot of free resources, videos, handouts, information about what we do, and then our social media handles. I thank you so much for listening, and really encourage, if you are interested in this topic area, please do connect with us. And again, thank you so much for having me on this today.